Again, friends, we are so glad to welcome you to our first quarterly learning Zoom of the new year. This is MFA and You, where we cover all of the ways that the Methodist Foundation for Arkansas can partner with local churches, with organizations and institutions and individuals, all as we seek to support our mission to strengthen and expand Methodist ministries across Arkansas. So thank y'all for being here. First of all, we are just going to jump into some of the basics of who we are. I'll repeat, our mission of the Methodist Foundation for Arkansas is to establish and manage charitable funds to strengthen and expand Methodist ministries across Arkansas. Now, that is, when I boil that down for folks, our biggest mission really is to strengthen and expand Methodist ministries across Arkansas. We were chartered in 1963. We are a nonprofit. We are one of 47 Methodist foundations across the United States, but we're in the top 10 of largest foundations, which is pretty remarkable, and we're pretty proud of that in Arkansas. But while we might not be the largest foundation in the amounts of assets that we manage, we award more grant dollars than any other Methodist foundation across our connection. Y'all, that means we give away more than Texas. So, and I bet if folks weren't muted, I would just hear the rounds of applause, the hoots, the hollers. So we are proud of that, because that is one of the greatest ways we're strengthening and expanding Methodist ministry across Arkansas. We have over 800 accounts. Those are with individuals and with local churches. Of course, all of these accounts are charitable funds that are benefiting Methodist churches or Methodist ministries. And over 180 Methodist churches in Arkansas, or Methodist churches and Methodist organizations and institutions, are investors at the foundation. So that's who makes up those over 800 accounts that we manage at the foundation. Now, we talk a lot about, we're really proud that we're in the top 10, that we award more grant dollars than any other foundation, that we have over 800 accounts. We love to share these details, but we also love to paint a picture for what that actually looks like and what it means for our foundation. So we manage over $260 million in assets. Now, that is an impressive number. We are proud of that, but we're really proud as we go on with what we're able to do because of those assets under management. Not all of this money belongs to the Methodist Foundation. In fact, most of it doesn't. That column, or the piece of the pie in the blue, 54.1% are what we call agency accounts. These are the accounts that local churches have placed under investment at the church. We are their agent. The church owns the money. They have placed it under investment with us, and we do with it what they tell us to do. That's 54% of our assets. And then 42% of our assets are what we call trustee accounts. These are accounts that come from when an individual donor or family or a couple, they make a gift to the foundation, either an outright gift or they leave a gift in their estate plan. And as they leave that gift, they give us instructions that it's to be endowed and that it is to benefit the Methodist ministry of their choice. So many churches in our conference benefit from trustee accounts where a donor has given to us and said, the beneficiary in perpetuity is my beloved United Methodist Church. So that 260 million, 54% are agency accounts that belong to churches who've chosen us. 42% are trustee accounts, donors that will benefit a Methodist church or a Methodist ministry. Because we have $260 million in assets, we are able to distribute lots of money every year. We distribute over $7 million annually to strengthen and expand Methodist ministries across Arkansas. The first way we do this is sending money back to our account holders. So the churches who have investments with us, when they request a distribution from their fund, if they have a scholarship fund here and it's time to award a scholarship, just like we did earlier this week, we send a distribution to that check. If they, in the summertime when that HVAC unit goes down and they have a fund for building maintenance and they need that $5,000 or $6,000 to repair or to replace that HVAC system, we send them a distribution for that. Last year we did 1.9 million back to our account holders from their funds, 1.9 million. Next, those trustee accounts. So those funds that individuals have set up to benefit their beloved ministry. We distributed $3.8 million last year. And lastly, this is what truly sets us apart, our grants. Some of those trustee accounts that individuals have set up these funds to benefit the Methodist ministry of their choice, 3.8 million has gone back to local churches, Methodist organizations, and institutions. An additional 1.8 million actually came to the foundation because those donors named the foundation as the beneficiary of that fund. So altogether, we distribute over $7 million annually back into Methodist ministries to strengthen and expand Methodist ministries across Arkansas. Now I want to dig deep, to share more about investing at the foundation, whether that be one of those trustee accounts or an agency accounts. Churches and individuals, we have 4 different investment opportunities. And the first one is it's a place to park money, a place to invest without any risk. This is our money market account, like a high yield savings account, basically. This right now, it has a current rate of return of 3.13%. That fluctuates given the Fed's rates. But then we offer 3 investment options. The first is our blended investment pool, which, as its name suggests, it's a blend. It's a blend of stocks and bonds, with 65% being stocks and 35% being bonds or fixed income. And you can look at the average rates of return. We are long-term investors, and so we love to see the short-term numbers high, but we also say look out over the long haul, and you can see at 10 years, this pool has an average rate of return of 7.7%. Our next pool is our growth pool. This is our most aggressive investment option because it's mostly stocks. Again, you can see the average rates of return for this fund for the 3 years, 18.2, but then looking at it 10 years, 11%. And then for organizations or churches that may have a lower risk tolerance, we offer a very conservative pool. This one's called our income investment pool. It has not much, if any, in the stock market. It's mostly bonds, so mostly fixed income. And you can see the average rates of return for our income investment pool. Now, here's how the foundation is able to have the impact that we have. Anywhere a church or an individual sets up a charitable fund and they want it to be invested, anywhere they go, they're going to pay investment fees. The foundation is no different. We charge investment fees. We will say that our fees are very competitive and we don't charge anything other than our investment fees. There's no transaction fees, no penalty fees, no you called to ask us to do something on a Monday and we don't like to do things on Monday, or you asked for 4 checks this week and we only do 2. There are no other fees outside of our investment fees, but here's the difference that our fees make. Our fees, instead of lining the pockets of shareholders or executives, our fees are actually going into the ministry of the Methodist Foundation to have a talented staff to partner with local churches to bring programs, a staff to oversee our grant program, and also we have a threshold of what profit will we have in a year, and after we've met that threshold, every additional dollar goes into our grant ministry to be distributed the next year. So we are actually, when you invest with the Methodist Foundation, your church is getting stronger through this investment in the future and for ensuring some vitality into the future, but you're also investing in the work that we are doing to strengthen ministries in your church and beyond. We do our investments through Westpath Institutional Investments. That name is probably really familiar. They were formerly known as the General Board of Pension and Retirement for the United Methodist Church. We choose to partner with Westpath for our investments, not only because of their expertise and their team of 26 dedicated investment professionals, but we choose to partner with Westpath because they use the Book of Discipline to guide their investments. So we know the corporations and the stock with which we are invested is in line with our values as Methodist. There are certain ethical exclusions in stocks in which we will not invest, and you can see these listed here. This way, we know that our money isn't directly supporting corporations that are not in line with our values as United Methodist. So you can feel that like double and triple feel good that you know your investment dollars are helping your local church. They are helping Methodist ministries across Arkansas through the foundation and our grant program and the additional services that we provide, but also that they are invested in ways that are in line with our values as United Methodist. So we believe all of our missions are aligned from the Methodist Foundation and Westpath and your local church or your institution or organization, that together we are strengthening local churches. We are strengthening and expanding even Methodist ministries across Arkansas. Now I'm going to turn it over to Amy McGovern to get into the really fun part, the details of our grant program. You are muted, Amy. So.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Lynn. She has introduced y'all to who we are, how we work with churches, how we invest, and how we grow endowments for churches to strengthen those ministries across our state. And then another way that the foundation strengthens ministries, as Lynn has mentioned earlier, is through our grant program. So you see on this slide, last year we gave $2.1 million in grant funds to churches in our state and to help them with their programs that they are doing to strengthen their church, their congregations, and their communities. And you can see that since we started our grant program back in 2010, we've awarded nearly $18 million in grant money. And that's why we're number one when it comes to all the foundations. So hopefully some of you have, or your churches have received grants from us. And but if not, and you're interested in learning more about the grant program, you can see there we have 6 grant funding priorities. And so you can see that we have food security, homelessness and poverty as one priority, clergy and laity education, community health, evangelism and discipleship, diversity, environmental awareness, and energy education. So these are fairly broad priorities. And so we know that your churches are doing great things to help these areas or have dreams of doing things or starting programs. So please look into applying for our grants. All that information is on our website. With our grant program, we have a special part of our board who they're on the grant committee. And so every month they will review any grant applications from churches or Methodist affiliated organizations that were received the previous month. So if you apply for a grant, if you get it in by the end of February, that grant's going to be reviewed in March, and you will know the results of that grant pretty quickly. So it's kind of a rolling time frame. So we don't have any hard deadlines as far as that is concerned, as far as applying for grants. Now, I will mention that twice a year we do review grant applications for nonprofits. So they don't necessarily have to be Methodist affiliated, but we recognize that there are a lot of nonprofits in our communities that are, fit into one of these grant funding priorities. We also know that the pastors and the laity in our churches are very involved with some nonprofits. So if you're aware of any nonprofits in your community that you think could benefit from one of our grants, please send them our way as well. and we'd be happy to visit with them about that process and our deadlines for that. Like I said, twice a year, we review applications for nonprofits. All right, Lynn.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
So one of the things that we have done the last couple of years is create these feeding ministry hubs. Now, it's known that Arkansas has the highest percentage of population with food insecurity of all the 50 states in the union. And the highest level of food insecurity in Arkansas is along the southern border. And one county in extreme southern Arkansas is in the top 10 of all the counties in the country or in the nation. So we a couple of years ago partnered with 200,000 More Reasons and First United Methodist Church in Crossett to help with this disturbing statistic. And together we have created this feeding ministry hub. This project in Crossett has space and that will build upon a very successful existing food pantry that they have. And it is already, I think when it started, they were serving about 250 families each month. And that continues to see growth as the years go on. So there are a number of churches in that area that utilize this feeding hub, and they'll come and get the food and distribute to their communities. But Crossett Church is the hub. So they store everything and everything kind of goes out from that. So we are thrilled to have started that partnership. And then last year we partnered with the Food Bank of North Central Arkansas up in Mountain Home. Some of you may know Jeff Quick, lifelong Methodist. He is the president and CEO of that food bank. And again, wanting to have these hubs across the state, recognizing all the food insecurities that exist. So we partnered with them, gave them a big grant to help with their feeding garden and the growth, no pun intended, maybe a little bit, but the growth, thank you, Lynn. The growth that they've had has been tremendous as far as the amount of fresh produce that they're able to give to their communities. And we are actually in we're about to open another food hub in Arkadelphia. So that'll be our third food pantry, food ministry hub that we'll be partnering with. All right. And I mentioned when we were talking about priorities that there's one for clergy and laity education, as well as clergy self-care. One of our greatest grants is our seminary scholarship fund, and this pays full tuition at any United Methodist seminary. In 2000, the Seminary Scholarship Fund was established to ensure that our best and brightest students who are going to seminary, we all know that Arkansas doesn't have a seminary school, so they're all going out of state. We don't want them to get stuck out of state when they're done with their education. So we want them to come back and serve in Arkansas in the communities in which they love. So we started this seminary scholarship that pays full tuition to any United Methodist seminary. And it's not really a loan to be paid back, but it is retired through service under appointment by our bishop. So the way it works is for every year of scholarship assistance, they are agreeing to serve 2 years in Arkansas. So this paying it forward approach has really provided the Arkansas Annual Conference with creative and dedicated leadership from our scholars. And last year, there's a couple pictures up right now. We started doing a seminary luncheon. And so here are a couple of pictures from that luncheon. And to date, we have 42 scholars who are serving. And we celebrated, back in 2022, we celebrated 20 years of this scholarship. And so we wanted to crunch some numbers to see the impact these scholars are bringing to Arkansas. And at that time, let me make sure I get my numbers right, the 41 scholars had served a total of 359 years in 108 appointments in congregations, Wesley Foundations, the Methodist Foundation for Arkansas. We may or may not have a scholar on our staff, and in military chaplaincy. So this annual award for each scholarship is $22,000 per year for 3 years. So We are pretty proud of that scholarship, as we know we have so many wonderful scholars that are serving across our state. Now, the next one is the Clergy Growth and Renewal Fund. That has been established by the foundation to provide financial support to clergy in the Arkansas Annual Conference for the purpose of experiencing events that promote personal and spiritual growth and perfecting their professional skills and the ability to bring what they experience back to their congregations. And one of the exciting parts of this fund is our international study cohorts. And we believe it's important for our pastors to visit the places and have the opportunities to travel to the places that are critical to our faith. So we have hosted study cohorts to Israel. You see our Wesley Heritage tour in England, and then Greece and Turkey study cohort when they were doing the journeys of Paul. And these really are study cohorts. They're not just going for fun. They have a curriculum, they have reading, they have papers. So they really are learning a lot before they go and actually experience and walk in the same places that they have been reading about. So, and in April, Wayne is taking a group to Taizé, France to learn about Taizé and that method there. So we're excited to hear about everything that they learn upon their return. Now, the compelling preaching initiative, easy for me to say, was funded by a generous grant from the Lilly Endowment. And it seeks to build the capacity for bold and innovative preaching within Arkansas United Methodist clergy to transform churches and communities. So programs through this initiative has supported individual preachers who can then transfer these honed skill set to meet the needs of each appointment that they'll have over their career. And we are fortunate enough to have this initiative led by J.J. Whitney. Now, yet another way that we have given back to some of our young Methodists is with our Hope Scholarship. In 2021, the Hope Scholarship was started by 2 anonymous donors. And then our grant committee decided they really wanted to double the gift over the next 4 years. Now, this scholarship has helped over 20 low-income students attend college. And many have noted that they would not have been able to attend college without it, and that the scholarship has changed my life and my family's life. The original donors wanted it to be a 4-year commitment or 4-year program, but the foundation, we really want to continue this life-changing program. So to sustain this giving level beyond the donor and the grant committee's original gifts, we are raising funds to establish a permanent endowment fund over $4 million. So we have raised quite a bit of that, but we are continuing to raise so we can sustain this Hope Scholarship for years to come. And you can see there the remaining need is $800,000. So if any of you just want to write a check for $800,000, we'd be more than happy to visit with you, or anything under that would be great. So that is another great thing. But we're not just looking at our older Methodist students. We know that the love for our church and the love for fellowship really begins, as a child. And how many of us have so many wonderful memories of attending Methodist church camp? I know I do. Some of my favorite memories of growing up were, at assembly. And so we recognize that the younger Methodists across our state also need to have options and access to these great camps. So the last couple of years, we have offered young United Methodists the opportunity for scholarships to attend Camp Tanaco or Ozark Mission Project or Mount Eagle Retreat Center. And we know that these funds will provide partial scholarships for young persons for families facing challenging financial situations or families or economic situations. So, and in the case of Mount Eagle, we cover most of the cost of lodging for groups who have never been to Mount Eagle or haven't been since 2020. So if this is something that you know a young Methodist that might be interested, all of this information is on our website, on how to apply in the process of getting one of those scholarships. Now, lastly, and we're really excited about this part of our ministry, is last February, so about a year ago, we had 40 lay persons who traveled to Sager Brown Depot, the UMCOR distribution center down in Louisiana. And this was a week-long excursion that involved assisting in organizing and distributing donated supplies for emergency assistance in the South Central area of the United States. And participants that joined us, they paid a minimal fee of $20 just to kind of show their commitment and their travel, and then the foundation covered the rest of their expenses. And similarly, last January, a group of college students from nearly every United Methodist campus ministry in Arkansas traveled to Epworth by the Sea in Georgia to share in mission together. And coming up in April is our next journey, and it is our civil rights journey. This is the first time we've done this. We're very excited about it. I believe we have 51 people that are signed up, laity who are signed up to attend. You can see the different cities that they're going to be visiting that were so important to the civil rights journey of our country. And so we are excited to learn from that journey and the experiences that they will have. With that, I am going to pass it back to Lynn. And there she is.
Yeah, and here I am, and there I am, everywhere. Well, we have talked about we're hoping that you are starting to see the many ways that the foundation is strengthening and expanding Methodist ministry across Arkansas. And one of the greatest ways is through our grants and the financial investments happening in ministries and churches across Arkansas, and through churches' investments and how they have additional income to support their ministries. I want to share now another way that what the foundation does, and resources that we provide using the income that we have from our investments. We provide lots of free additional services for Methodist churches that have accounts and churches that don't have accounts with us. We offer as we've shown in this presentation, we offer investment options to churches, but we also provide ways to help them think critically and think strategically about their investments. And so we offer presentations and communication to help grow endowments and to grow investments. We provide consultations on legacy giving and estate planning, and we offer financial and retirement workshops for clergy and lay members. These are additional services that we are able to provide because this is part of the mission that we have of how we can strengthen and expand Methodist ministries. One of those programs that we take for free to any church that asks us is our estate planning program called Planning a Legacy. This is our estate planning program where we take a holistic approach to estate planning. And a lot of people think, well, estate planning, that's just for super wealthy people. I don't think that I have an estate. I just have a house, But we realize that estate planning is more than just a will. Estate planning is more than just your assets and your property. Estate planning truly cares for all of your property and yourself and your person, because estate planning includes your advanced healthcare directive, very important positions to appoint in your will or your trust, a power of attorney, executor, guardianship of minor children. It does include those estate planning documents, a will or a trust, but we see that a good part of estate planning is also funeral plans. So we are willing to come and to provide this program for free to any church that will have us. And it's about a 30-minute presentation, and we think if we're going to give you a 30-minute presentation, we should feed you as well. And we'll pick up the tab for that. If the church will coordinate having a meal served with our presentation, if the church will give us that receipt, we will reimburse the church for that. Also, to have families with young children, it is so critical for young parents or parents of young children to have estate plans. we want the nursery to be made available. So we'll reimburse the church to have nursery care. And when we come, we'll bring curriculum or materials for everybody who attends so that when they leave, they have materials to really help them take their next step in their estate plan. One of the also a critical aspect for us in doing our or leading estate planning programs with local churches and local church folks is to inspire them to include their church in their estate plan. And we give lots of creative ways. We talk about the ways that everybody knows of just naming the church in your estate, tithing off of your estate, leaving 10% to your church. But we also talk about some really creative legacy gift options. And these are one of the options is called a life income gift. And this is a gift that a person makes in their lifetime, but it's money that they have that they're planning on being charitable with in their estate plan, but they can't give the money to the charity now. They still would like income off of that. So they would set up a life income gift. One of them, we offer life income gifts, and the most popular one that we offer is called a charitable gift annuity. And a charitable gift annuity, as I said, a donor makes a gift in their life and they get an annuity for the rest of their life. And then at the end of their life, the amount that is remaining in that fund goes to the Methodist ministry of their choice. So here's what that looks like. We've prepared a report for Mrs. Susanna Wesley. She is 70 years old. Man, she loves her United Methodist Church a whole lot. A whole lot. She has $25,000 saved. She's planning on leaving this to her church when she passes away, but she's not ready to give it to her church now because that's invested right now and she's making money off of it and she would like to continue to do so. But she's going to go ahead and make a life income gift. So she gives a gift to the foundation for $25,000. We receive this and she tells us, I'm giving this to the foundation, but she will tell us as she sets it up, I want this to benefit John Wesley United Methodist Church. So we take that $25,000, we invest it. She receives a charitable deduction of $9,674. Now, if you're wondering, well, hey, she gave $25,000, why does she only get to claim $9,600 on her taxes? And that is because for the rest of her life, she will receive a 6.3% annuity every year. Every year, she will receive a check from the foundation for $1,575. That amount is unique to Mrs. Wesley because of her age and that she is single. So the annuity rates are based upon a person's age and if it's for 1 or 2 lives. She'll receive that $1,500 for the rest of her life from the foundation, and upon her passing, our goal is that at least 50% is still in that fund, and that is going to go to John Wesley United Methodist Church, her beloved Methodist ministry. So a life income gift, it's a great way for folks to establish a legacy gift, but continue to benefit and receive income off of that gift. There's also lots of tax benefits for doing a life income gift. And if you are interested in that, we are excited to talk about life income gifts for folks and how that can be a creative way that you're leaving a legacy at your church. Another giving tool that we offer at the foundation is we're setting up donor advised funds. Donor advised funds have really become popular the last few years for lots of reasons, from convenience, for tax reasons. But a donor advised fund is, I like to say, it's like a charitable savings account for donors. You give a gift to the Methodist Foundation, establish your donor advised fund, and then as you want to, as you are led, you will give us instructions on where to send distributions from that fund to the ministries of your choice. People like this for that convenience reason. Folks who are sending multiple charitable gifts to their church, to Camp Tanago, to Hendrix College, they're making gifts to Methodist ministries that are important to them. They would really rather have one receipt instead of multiple receipts that they have to keep up with. So when you establish a donor advised fund, you get one tax receipt that you'll need for your taxes that year. But also, let's say you have a sum of money now that you want to be charitable with, but you're not really sure where you want to be charitable yet, or you want to space out your giving to your local church to maybe fulfill a pledge or multiple pledges. You can set up a donor advised fund in 1 year and then make payments over time, deciding where you want to be charitable. This is helpful for a lot of folks for tax purposes to have the charitable donation in a certain calendar year, even though those gifts are taking place over time. We are really excited about donor advised funds at the foundation because we have been inspired by the creativity that a donor advised fund allows for the donor. Because you can set a donor advised fund up in different ways. You can think of it like a bathtub that you're going to fill it up with money and then you're going to drain it out that year. You can think of it like a water tank that you're going to fill it up, but then you're going to let it drain out over 3 to 5 years. Or you can think of it like a water tower where you're going to invest a large sum of money and then let it operate as your own endowment, making distributions for several years, maybe into perpetuity, and it becomes generational philanthropy that you'll actually pass down that the authority to make distributions from your donor advised fund to those who come after you. So we are excited always to talk about donor advised funds, life income gifts, or other ways that folks can be creative and help will get the maximum impact for their charitable gifts to their beloved church or to their beloved organization.
All right. Well, we just have a few slides left, but we definitely want to mention our Bishops Club. Now, our Bishops Club is a way for individuals to become a partner with the foundation. And when we started the Bishops Club, this is before mine and Lynn's time, but when it was started, it was originally to help support the foundation's daily operations. But now, 100%, a couple of years ago, we realized that we really didn't need the membership dues to help us with that. We were doing okay with all of our investments and the fees that we were receiving that help us with those sorts of things, that we didn't necessarily need this pot of money for that. So we're like, how can we do the most good with this money? And so a few years ago, we decided that 100% of our Bishop Club membership fees would go towards our grants. And a couple of years ago, we decided to devote all of the Bishop Club fees to a particular program. And we've already talked about the feeding hubs. So the year that we started the first feeding hub, all the Bishops Club money went to help support that. Last year, it was for the food bank in Mountain Home. And then this new food feeding hub, this year's Bishops Club fees will go to that. Once we're finished setting up these feeding hubs across the state, we will be looking for new programs and new things to focus our Bishops Club funding towards. But some of you that are on this call are already Bishop Club members, and we thank you for that. For those of you who are not, if you're interested, of course, we would love for you to join us. We're actually celebrating our 40th year of having the Bishops Club. So we're already planning a pretty big celebration in May. So we would love for you to join us at that celebration. If you're interested, you can get in touch with either me or Lynn or CE or Wayne or really anybody. We'd be more than happy to visit with you about how to join. And it's $1,000 membership fee that you can either pay annually or monthly. So we make it as easy as possible for you to join. All right, Lynn. So that pretty much wraps up our presentation. You have heard a lot of information about us. But as Lynn started out, we are excited. We love working for the foundation. We're excited to share all the great things that this foundation is able to do when we partner with our local churches and our local congregations. But if you go home and your spouse is like, what'd you do today? And you're like, let me tell you, and you can just go to this slide and tell them the highlights of what the foundation is all about. We have covered, I think, pretty much all of this. I think the only thing that we really didn't say is that very last bullet that we provide services for any United Methodist, AME, AMEZ, CME, or Wesley rooted denominations. But everything else we have covered, so I won't read those to you. But we appreciate you joining us today. And these last couple slides, I think, is it coming? Next slide. Did I
Yep,
freeze
yep.
up?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry,
we're
y'all.
good. We're good.
Apparently, my internet's unstable. So, but this is all of our staff. Everyone on this page, except for me, is in the Little Rock office. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I am in Rogers with apparently bad internet. And I do go down and visit Little Rock whenever they will allow me to. So that is all of our great staff. And then this last slide is our two offices. Our main office is in West Little Rock, and then again, my office in Rogers. So if you're ever in the neighborhood of either office, please stop by. We would love to visit with you, show you around, take you to lunch, whatever. So thank you again. And I think we have 10 minutes or so for any questions that might have come up or that you have now.
Yeah. I saw that Peaches asked a question, and Amy did a great job of responding to that in our chat about the civil rights journey. Is
Mm-hmm.
that for laity only? It is, as Amy said, it is this time. However, we know that that is an interest from our clergy, and so we take that into consideration as we're looking at continuing and expanding the educational opportunities that we have for our clergy folks. So thanks for asking that question. Any other questions this morning? All right.
I did get a direct question about whether the camping scholarships are separate from funds that the camps hold, or is that funding coming straight out of our grants ministry, separate from those
Yes.
funds?
Yes. So we have the camps and the organizations to whom we have already made a commitment based on a grant request that they had submitted. The camping scholarship is in addition to that. That was funding that the foundation received that was had the camping scholarships met the distribution requirements or the instructions that we were given from that donor. And as Amy said when she was talking about it, we know the impact on camping ministries in young people's lives of faith, and all of us in the staff, we all told our camping stories of Methodist camps across Arkansas. So we wanted to make that investment beyond the commitment we already had with those camps and with those ministries. So great question. It's
Mm-hmm.
above and beyond.
It's the cherry on top.
It is. It is. Great question. Any others, friends?
The last thing I meant to mention and failed to is that, and we kind of have alluded to it, but we are happy to come to your church if you want a presentation similar to this. Just if you think your congregation would be interested to learn more about what we do. They may have heard about us, but not quite sure exactly all the ins and outs of the foundation. We are happy to come and do a presentation like this, or as Lynn mentioned, are planning a legacy, or if you want a special one on endowments or whatever. We will cater to your needs and whatever you think is going to be most beneficial for your congregation and your community. So just let us know how we can help and support and partner with you.
Thank you, Amy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, friends, if there are no more questions, we will wrap our time together up with just another word of thanks. Thanks for taking time out of your day to be with us this morning. We hope that this has been helpful for you. This is going to live on our website, so feel free to check it out again. As we close,
Lynn,
if you have, yes,
we did have one more question in the chat just now.
okay.
My church is looking to update its playground, making it ADA accessible. Do we have services that help us find grant funding outside MFA?
Oh, I don't know I don't know what our connections are for funding for that specific need outside of our grants. I would say it's definitely worth, if you haven't yet talked to Mackie Yoakum on our staff, our Director of Leadership Ministries, where he can talk about our grant program, um, to see if you qualify. He can visit with you about a request that could come before our grant committee. And then he might be able to provide some resources just from his knowledge and his networks of other possible grant sources outside of ours.
But probably not for about another week.
Right.
Mackie is out for the next week. But who knows, that Mackie, he might still be responding to stuff. But if you get it, you just know he will respond. If it's not the next week, it's just he is out for the next week, but he will get to it. Great question. All right, friends. Well, I'm going to ask this staff. We're going to hang out here. We're going to turn out the lights, if you will, so that if you have a question, you can stick around in the room to ask us. But we will send you on your ways and hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for your time, and thank you for allowing us to be a part of your day, and most importantly, a partner in your ministries. Bye bye, everybody.
Thank y'all.